Coming up this weekend, the second-ranked Norwich men's hockey team returns to Kreitzberg Arena for a pair of NEHC games against Skidmore on Friday, Hobart on Saturday. The Cadets are riding an 8-game unbeaten streak that's punctuated by a 4-2 comeback win over second-place New England College this past Saturday. Head coach Cam Ellsworth joins us on the line for the Coach's Preview, brought to you by Sticks and Stuff. Cam, hello.
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing good. So let's start by talking about Saturday's win over the Pilgrims. Not only was it a win over the team that's right behind you in the standings, but you battled back from a 2-1 deficit in the third period to do it. So how big a win was that for you guys?
I think any win in this league is huge. And like you said, it was on the road and against a team that was right behind us in the standings. So I was extremely pleased. And, you know, more than the result, I think it was one of the better games we've played this year from start to finish. And as you continue to grow as a team, you're continually trying to push the bar on, you know, how good you can get. And, you know, again, I don't know what that means for us at the end of the year, but I just thought, like I said, for the entire 60 minutes, we were committed, and it was nice to see our guys rewarded. Now
you've got back-to-back games against two teams this weekend that are both in the upper half of the league, but they're very different teams. I know Hobart comes with that sort of a high-powered offense. Skidmore maybe a little more balanced. But what do you expect to see from Skidmore and Hobart this weekend?
Number one, you got a Skidmore team that just has continued to improve under Coach Hutchinson there, and you know they provide a really interesting challenge with the amount of skill that they actually have on their back end. So I think their leading scorer is a defenseman. They've got a bunch of guys that handle the puck extremely well. So not only are they guys that are defending, but they're constantly in the rush, constantly posing threats from different parts of the rink. So that'll be a very good challenge. And then, you know, again, Hobart and Norwich are no strangers in the short time that have been in the same league, and they just play extremely hard up and down the rink. Like you said, they have a great offense, and I think they just continually come at you. I mean, they're putting up 40, 50, 60 shots every night, and they just come in waves. So, you know, two different tests, but two very, very, very difficult tests.
Let's I don't want to look ahead to next weekend in terms of sort of strategy and games, but sort of a more of a global look at the conference as a whole. Babson's been coming on really strong. They're getting great goaltending just like you are, and they're currently in third place. Without looking ahead, have you been sort of paying attention to how they've been doing, or say maybe seeing how other teams in the league are doing as we're getting to that last month of the season?
I think the biggest thing for me, obviously I check the scores, and you know, people are very quick to let me know what's going on. And again, as you said, Babson's been on a real good tear here. So I'm aware. At the same time, the league is such that I think it tests you every night, and then you have a lot of just the out of conference, in conference games. So there's a lot of things going into, you know, who you're playing, when you're playing, where you're playing. And so for me, I would tell you, like, you know, it's 2 to 3% of my energy, and the rest is all, you know, basically on our team. And then, you know, right now recruiting is a big part of the year right now. Starting to trying to lock down the future of Cadets hockey, and so spending a lot of time there as well.
Is that tough to do as a coach when you're when you're trying to recruit and you're trying to coach at the same time, especially in the thick of the season here?
Yes and no. I think it's you know, I came from an in D1. You're doing it. You're always recruiting. I don't want to make it sound that way, but in D1 we were doing it all the time, 365, and in Division 3 here after Christmas it really picks up. I think that's where kids are really starting to make their decisions. You know, they're really looking at when and where they're going to go and how they fit into those schools. There's no scholarships in Division 3, so, you know, they're getting their financial aid packages. There's a lot of things like that where I think it lends well to, you know, right now it gives us, me, or at least me as a coach, gives me the opportunity early to spend a lot more time on our team. And now as our team grows, you know, and now I'm able to divert some of my energy and attention into the recruiting while continuing to grow our team, but it's not, you know, introducing new systems or the time that it takes to do those things, if that makes sense. So really like the the structure of how the Division III calendar works, and with the recruiting, I think it fits really nicely.
Now, I know you don't pay attention to rankings or polls, but you do currently have the number one scoring defense in the country, and I know that's a stat more than a poll. Tom O'Brien has been a big part of that, but he's obviously had some help on the blue line. What has that unit done to be so effective, and how happy are you with their performance thus far?
It's definitely more of it's a team stat. Anybody that's watched us play, I mean, our forwards work back. They're incredibly important in the way that we defend. Our obviously our decor, as you mentioned, both in the way that they defend when they don't have the puck, or the way that we've really worked a lot on the way we break out when we do have the puck. Obviously, when we have the puck, it's hard to score. So, spent a lot of time on those things. And then Tom has just been a rock back there for us. Just had a phenomenal year thus far. So I do think that it's a collective unit. That's kind of just the way that I believe in playing. And to the team's credit, they've bought into that. It's really one of those things where right now I'm just hoping we can continue and continue to be stingy and hard to play against, and make people earn every inch when they're playing against us.
And you kind of alluded to an emphasis on defense. Does some of that maybe as a coach come from, playing at that end of the ice yourself, or is that just maybe philosophically more of a grand scheme of things?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I see the game that way for sure. I just think it's something you can't always control all the bounces. You can control how hard you work when you don't have the puck. You can control where you try to put people and where you try to how you try to defend, where you try to defend them. It's things that if you're looking at a hockey rink, they're more controllable than when you're offensively have the puck. It's just, again, you can want to do things with a puck offensively when you have it. There's a team trying to deny that, but without the puck, I think it's something where you can really have a really good structure, and as long as you're committed to it, you can have success in a fairly consistent manner. Not maybe to the point of what we've done this year, but just where we're giving shots up, how we're giving them up, and making people earn that for entire games. And so it's I think, a big mixture of me being a goalie, but it's also been a lot of what I've been exposed to as a coach, and the successes that have come with that have made me a very easy participant in trying to continue that.
Do you ever kind of maybe look at the personnel too and make your decisions as to where strategies goes based on that? Like maybe you see the guys that you got out there and you're like, oh, I think this is going to be a really good defensive team. Or maybe sometimes you got forwards that are just flying around and you're like, oh, maybe we should kind of go more on the attack as a unit. I don't know. Does that play anything into it at all?
Yes and no. No in the sense that if you look at most championship games, if you look at most, whether that's college hockey or if you look at like Stanley Cup finals, it's, even the high-flying offenses, the way that hockey is right now, the way that it's reffed and the way that it's played, I mean, there are games in the middle of the year that people are scoring goals, but most finals are all determined with low scoring and are all determined by very close scoring games. So, as a coach, I would love to score 10 goals every night. That's the way we draw it up. Sometimes we do. Sometimes we score a little bit more than we don't. But I think, again, if you just look at it on the grand scheme, if you defend well, you're always going to give yourself an opportunity to be in a game. And so I just personally don't really believe in trying to go out and just trade chances and run up and down the rink. It's just not the way that I'm wired.
Now, let's put the promotions hat on here, because you do have the Gold Out coming this Saturday here. You got to experience it last year against Castleton. I know a lot of teams do something that's similar, but Kreitzberg, in terms of D3, it's a very unique rink in terms of the national scene. So I guess if you could talk a little bit about the Gold Out coming up, and what was it like to sort of, as a coach, be on the bench and maybe be able to look around and see a lot of gold.
It's just like you said, Kreitzberg's such a unique spot. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find anything in the country like it. Gives just such a great atmosphere to play in. So obviously we're thankful for all the fans and the support. We've got some great sponsors that have helped this year, and getting the towels out and just trying to get some energy in the building. Hobart, again, is a team that's been in the finals of the league playoffs the last 2 years, Norwich and Hobart, so it's obviously a big game. And I think what's kind of cool this year is we've got some new jerseys that are gold, so it's going to add, I think, just to the ambiance of it to have the gold jerseys and the gold towels, and hopefully lots of people, and just makes for just such a great experience for our student athletes.
Cadets host Skidmore tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Coverage starts 6:35 here on WDEV FM and AM. George Como on the call. Puck drops at 4 on Saturday for the Gold Out against Hobart. Coverage on WDEV FM and AM starts at 3:35. Coach, good luck this weekend. We'll catch up with you next week.
All right, thank you.